Okay, class, I want to go ahead and spend just a few minutes and review with you some of the instructions, and let's go through those. These are the instructions for the guided practice, lesson 11 guided practice, and we're working on Peter Mantuso's cash flow budget. Now, I have already completed all of the first, second, and most of the third steps. I want to come in down here and where we start in on the third line here for step 3. Notice that it states in cell B44 we will put the interest rate divided by 12 months, and the simple formula should be the equal sign 0.10 divided by 12. And so that's simply the interest rate. Now, if you'll notice here, I'll be using this one. I've already got that entered here. And so we have our equal sign, our 0.1 divided by 12. Okay. And so then we need to also enter in next, then the annual interest rate. Excuse me. We need to go down here and arrive at the interest rate. And we're going to put in the number of periods, and that's going to be 12. And then we're going to put in the value of the loan, which is the PV, or present value, equal to, and notice we're going to put in a minus sign, a minus 1,000. Okay. Now, students oftentimes get tripped up because they forget to put the minus sign in. And so that's one of the things that we need to watch. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll go back out, and then the next part of this is to go ahead and click on the FX, or the function button, and we'll select payment. And so let's go ahead and go back to the our file, and we have the parameters in here, our interest rate, and if you'll notice, it's again 0.1 divided by 12 with the equal sign in front of it. And then we have our number of periods put in here, just the number 12, and then our present value is actually the cost of the machinery, and so that's 1,000 with a minus sign in front of it. Okay, we've got those values in there now, so we need to go up to the line 30, and row 30 and column B, and that basically puts us in the column that we need to into the row where we're going to be reporting the purchase of the equipment. Now, the first thing that we need to do is click on the function, and that's going to bring up this box as it explains in the lesson, and we want them to come up here, and we could come down and click on the payment, this PMT here, or we can just do as the instructions tell us and just type in PMT up the top, PMT for payment. Okay, and now the instructions then tell us, once we do that, the instructions tell us that we now need to go ahead and click on Go. All right, and then we need to we'll take a look at what we have here in front of us is basically what's shown in that screenshot, and so then we need to click on OK. Now this brings this up, and this is where we need to identify our rate and our number of periods and our present value. And so what we need to do in here is that we've got our cursor is here in the rate box, so we just click on this, and that brings up our B44, and that's where our interest rate is at. And then we click on the next box, and then we're going to click on B45, and that's where our number of periods is at, is in B45, and then our present value, that's the cost of the machinery. We're going to click on B46, and that brings that up And so now we have our three parameters for this function, for this payment function. Now we have one more step to do before we keep on going. And remember in the instructions, and we talked about this with some earlier assignments, in the instructions it tells us that we need to click on each one of these and need to simply highlight them, and then we need to click on the F4 function key. And the F4 function key then brings in those dollar signs so that when the function goes to calculate the value for B30 and then C30 and D30 and so on and so forth, if we didn't put those dollar signs in, it would simply start looking every time we advance to the next column. It would start looking in these cells to try to find the number. But by putting the dollar signs in, it locks it in to the value right here in that one cell. And so it's very important that we do that. And we need to do that for all three. And so we go ahead and highlight that and click on our F4 key again. And then we do the same thing for the present value. And we click on the F4 key. And so that sets it up so it locks in on these three cells, and they do not change, do not advance to these other columns as when we will soon be moving this whole thing across to each of the other columns. And so now we have those values put in there. Click on OK, and now guess what? That count 88 comes up, and that's the number that we want. That's the 88, that's the number we want. And so now all we need to do is simply go ahead and drag this across over to the column M, and then simply let it calculate, and it gives us then $88 every month all the way through. And so that's basically what we're going to have to pay every month to pay for the machinery and have it paid for within a year's time. Okay. Now the next instructions gives us the instructions to go ahead and calculate our total cash inflows for each column by beginning in January. And so we go up here to row 21, and we put our cursor right here, and we go ahead then and sum the cash inflows for cells B6 through B20. So we're going to start up here with B6 and go all the way down. And so I'm going to use the auto sum, and I'm going to go ahead and start here and carry that all the way up so that it does include B6. That's important that we do include that line of row 6. All right, now we've got that one in there. And now we can go ahead and copy that across all the way. And there we go. That copies that all the way across. And in each case, it's summing everything from row 6 down through row 20. And it's including all of these values and the new ones that we had put up in here before. Now notice we don't have anything in the later cells for row 6. And we'll get to that just a little bit later. Right now, we just want to concentrate on getting our totals put in here. Okay. Now we want to go ahead and we've copied. We've copied these all the way across down here. And so now the next thing that we need to do is go up here to cell N8. Right here, cell M8, and we need the total cash inflows for row 8. Okay, and so what are we going to do here? Okay, we're going to click on our auto sum again, and that covers everything across. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that all the way over to January. There's only numbers going to be in here for April through October, but to make our template or make our spreadsheet so that it's going to work under all circumstances, then we just simply carry that over. Now we're going to go ahead and click on our enter key, and now we're going to copy this all the way down, our formula for row 8. I'm going to copy that all the way down. Clear down now to row 21. And now that gives us all of our values all the way through, and we should find that this is actually summing all of these across here. If we were to sum these values here, they should be equal to